when we come certain range of the chest, as you can see it's open, when we out, as you can see it's closed. Okay, this is pretty basic tutorial, you get hang of it on trigger inter 2D function. Okay, so let's get into this. Select the sprite sheet. Okay, select the sprite sheet and hit this sprite editor. As you can see there are multiple sprites, so we need to cut off individually. So we need to select sprite mode to multiple, and we're gonna select pixel per unit to 16, and we're gonna go over to filter mode to point. We're gonna select point no filter, because as you know this is an pixel art. Okay, and after doing that hit apply. As you can see we need to cut off individually. In the top left, as you can see slice, so click on that and select automatic to grid by cell size, and select pixel size to something like 32 in the X as well as 32 in the Y. And doing that hit this slice, and after doing that hit apply over there, so it will cut off individually. We're gonna select, give you 1 second, and we're gonna select any of them and drag it into the scene view. So we're gonna select this one and we're gonna drag it into the scene view, as you can see. So I'm gonna move this in the top hierarchy so we can see it, and I am gonna rename this to something like chest. Okay, rename this to something like chest. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna play two animation clip. Firstly will be the close one, okay, and the other one will be the open one. So before that we're gonna add two components to this chest game object. So hit this add component. Okay, and we're gonna add rigid body. Find the rigid body 2D, and we're gonna set this dynamic to kinematic, so it will not fall down due to gravity. And we're gonna choose collision detection to continuous, so it will continuously detect the collision. And we're gonna add another component to detect collision. Okay, so it this add component. Okay, and find there any collider, so I'm gonna add this circle collider, and we're gonna edit the circle collider. We're gonna set is triggered to true, basically checked. Okay, and we're gonna increase the radius something like 3. Okay, so 3, so it will detect the collision. So that's why we have added circle collider. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna make those two animation clips. So I'm gonna move this animation tab over here, and we're gonna create those clips. Okay, firstly the one will be the close one, and other one will be the open one. Okay, so select the chest and hit this create button. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to assets, and we have created this animation folder. So we're gonna go over to that, and we're gonna create a subfolder. So right click on it, new folder, name that to something like chest underscore animation, and hit enter, and double click that to open up that subfolder. And we're gonna rename this animation clip to something like chest. Okay, chest underscore close. So this is will be the close one, and save it. And hit this record button, red button. Okay, to record the animation. And we need to drag all of the close sprite of the chest into animation tab. Okay, so select all of them. So this 3 is close one, so we're gonna move it in animation tab. And if we play the animation, as you can see this is the close one. So hit this record button once again to capture the animation, and we're gonna create a new clip. So hit over there and create a new clip, and we're gonna rename this to something like chest underscore. So this will be the open one. Okay, so we're gonna name this chest underscore open and save it. Okay, and hit this record button to record the animation. So we need to drag open chest sprites, okay, into animation tab. So we have over here, as you can see, and we're gonna move it in animation tab. And if we now play, as you can see this is the open one. So hit this record button to capture the animation. Now we have captured both of animation close and the open one. So we're gonna move this animation tab over here, and if we select the chest and go to animator, as you can see chest close is by default is playing. Okay, so you can set any of this animation clip default just by clicking on it and set as layer default state, but I'm gonna leave it the chest close one. Okay, so what we're gonna do, whenever player trigger with this circle collider of the chest, what we're gonna do, we're gonna move to chest open animation clip. Okay, so we're gonna choose a certain condition. If that condition is true, then we're gonna go to chest open. So in the left side, as you can see parameter. Okay, so say hit this plus icon and select this bool one, which will be the true or false, and we're gonna name it something like is open. Okay, we're gonna name this to something like, sorry, is open. okay, and hit enter. And we're gonna make transition between two states. Okay, we need to go to chest open whenever the circle is colliding with the player, okay, or triggering with the player, because we set circle collider to is triggered to true. Okay, so that's why. So we're gonna right click on that chest close and make transition, okay, to chest open. Oh, okay, so we're gonna choose a condition. If that condition is true, then we're gonna go to chest open. So select this transition arrow, okay, and untick this has exit time and select the transition duration to 0. So we're gonna go immediately, and we're gonna choose a condition. If that condition is true, then we're gonna play the chest open animation clip. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna choose this is open condition to true. So hit this plus over there, and we're gonna select to true. So if it's true, then it will go to chest open animation clip. And we're gonna set this parameter is open parameter via our code, okay, through our code. And whenever the player collide with the circle, okay, trigger with the circle, we're gonna set this parameter is open parameter to true. And as you know, if it's true, as you can see, if it's true, it will go to chest open animation clip. But we also need to go back to chest close animation clip, okay, or we will stuck in the chest open animation clip. So when we shoot, whenever the player trigger out from this circle, okay, so we're gonna go over to chest close. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna set is open parameter to false, basically unchecked. So it will go over to chest close animation clip. So we need to make transition, okay. So right click on chest open animation clip and make transition to chest close animation clip, okay. And we're gonna choose a condition. So select this and untick this has exit time, okay. And we're gonna select transition duration to 0. We're gonna go immediately whenever the player trigger out from that circle. And we're gonna choose a condition in which condition we want to go. So hit this plus icon, and we're gonna set this parameter is open parameter to false, basically unchecked, okay. We're gonna set this to false. So it will go over to animation chest close animation clip, okay. So if we now hit play in the top, okay, if we now hit play in the top, and if we set this is open parameter to true, basically check, so it will play the chest open animation clip, because as we know, we have chosen that condition. If that condition is true, it will go to chest open animation clip. So as you can see, if we select this ticked, basically true is open, as you can see chest open animation is playing. As you can see, the chest has been open. So if we set this to untick, basically unchecked, as you can see chest close animation play clip is playing, because we have chosen that condition. If that condition is true, we playing the chest close animation. If we select this arrow, as you can see, we have said is open false. If it's false, it will play the chest close animation, as you can see, okay, basically unchecked, as you can see. If it we set true, okay, if this we set true, it will play the chest open animation clip. As you can see, if we select this transition, we have chosen that condition. If it is open is true, as you can see, chest open animation clip will be played. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna control this with our code, okay. So we're gonna set this is open parameter true to false or true, depending upon if the player triggering with the collider of chest or not, okay. So we're gonna set this parameter via our code. So we need to make a separate script. So I hit this once again, we're gonna unplay this, and we're gonna go over to project, okay, project, and then assets, right click on it, create, okay, C# script, name that to something like chest, and select the chest game object, okay, and hit this add component, and find the chest, whatever you have named that script, find that. So we have named it chest and attach that, hit enter basically, and double click that to open up in Visual Studio. So what we're gonna do, as you can see, we have start and the update function. We're gonna remove this, okay, we don't need that. We're gonna use on trigger enter 2D function as well as on trigger exit 2D function. As you know, we have set the circle collider is triggered to true, as you seen, okay. So that's why we're going to use that. So we're gonna use firstly on trigger enter 2D function, okay, on trigger on enter 2D function. So this function get called whenever we trigger with something, okay. So and we can extract info whatever we have triggered it with by going to this other parameter. As you can see, we can extract info something like name of the game object we have triggered it with, okay, or tag something like that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check, okay, we're gonna check if, okay, if other, okay, if other dot game object dot tag, if it's equals to player, okay, player, sorry, player, and make these curly brackets, So as you can see, as you know, this function on trigger inter 2D function get call whenever we trigger with something, and we are checking whatever we have triggered it with, if that game object has tag player. As you can see, if other dot game object dot tag, if it's equals to player, what we're gonna do, we're gonna firstly print out a message if it's working or not. And before that, you have to make sure, okay, select the player game object, go to inspector. Over there you can see tag, which will be untag, and make sure you have selected player. Okay, assign that tag as a player tag, the player game object. Now we have assigned our player game object as a player tag, so we definitely gonna trigger with the player game object, as we know. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna print out a message. Okay, debug.log. So we have to use debug.log, and we're gonna say something like just open or open just something like that. Okay, so and close that off with semicolon and control as on your keyboard to save this. So as you know, this on trigger inter 2D function get call or get trigger whenever we trigger with something. Okay, and we are checking if whatever we have triggered it with, if that game object has tag player. As you can see, what we doing, we just printing out the message debug.log open chest. It will print out in the console. Okay, so as we know, we assign it our player game object as a player tag, so we definitely gonna trigger with that player game object. So what we doing, we just printing out the message open chest in the console. Okay, and we're gonna use another function, it's called on trigger exit 2D function. Basically get that function get call whenever we trigger out from that circle. Okay, whenever the player will trigger out from that circle, that function will get call. So we have to use this on trigger. Okay, on trigger exit 2D function. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna check, okay, whatever we trigger out. Okay, so we have to use other dot game object dot tag, and we're gonna check if that game object has tag, okay, player. And as you know, and make this curly bracket, as you know that the player, we have assigned our player game object as a player tag. So that player, if that player game object trigger out from that circle, this function will get called. Okay, on trigger inter 2D exit 2D function. So what we're gonna do, if it's working or not, we're gonna print out a message in the console. Okay, so we have to use debug.log, sorry, debug.log, sorry, debug.log, and we're gonna say something like close chest, something like that, because the player trigger out from that circle. And close that off with semicolon and control as on your keyboard to save this, and head again to Unity and select the console. You will able to see, okay, whenever we trigger with this chest, that message will print out in the console, says open chest. And whenever we trigger out from this circle, okay, that message will print out, says something like close chest, as you've seen. Okay, so just wait for to compile and you will able to see. So select the console and hit play in the top. Okay, so if I select the console, I'm gonna clear it first and hit play in the top. Okay, and if we select the chest, we can see the circle, and whenever we trigger with that circle or collide with that circle, that message will pop up, says open chest. But when we trigger out, that message, okay, if I select the circle, as you can see the circle, when we trigger, as you can see, when I trigger from this circle, as you can see open chest a message printing out in the console. Okay, and if I now trigger out from this circle, as you can see close test animation, sorry, close test message printing out in the console. So instead of printing out message, what we're gonna do, we're gonna play that animation. So what we need the animation animator component. Okay, animator reference of the chest. Okay, and by this animator reference, what we're gonna do, we're gonna set this parameter, as you can see, is open to true or false, depending upon if the player is triggering or not. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we need this animator component. So we're gonna go over to script once again, and we're gonna use a start function. Okay, start function. So we have to use start, and as you know, start function get call whenever the game start. Okay, so what we're gonna do in that, firstly we're gonna make an animator field, and we're gonna set private. We don't need to make it public, so we cannot see in the inspector. That will be animator component. okay, and you can call it something like chest animator or animator, something like that. I'm gonna call it animator. So we need to grab the reference of the animator, then we can set the is open parameter to true or false depending upon if we trigger it with the chest or not. Okay, so we're gonna go over to start function, and as you know, start function get called whenever the game starts. So what we're gonna do in this start, we're gonna grab the reference of the animator. So we're gonna say animator equal to this, okay, this dot get component, that, as you know, the type of the component is animator. We have to make that and make this first bracket and close that off with semicolon. Now we have grabbed the reference. As you can see in this start of the game, we are setting animator, okay, we are getting the component, this dot get component animator. Now we have the reference. So what we're gonna do, instead of printing out message, what we're gonna do, whenever the player trigger or collide with that circle, we're gonna go over to animator, and we're gonna set that bool. Okay, we have to use set bool, and you have to pass the same name as you did in animator tab when you rename that, and as you know, we have set the parameter is open. You have to make the correct spelling, else it will not work. Okay, so as you know, we have type is open. What we're gonna do, we're gonna set it to true, and as you know, if it's is open to, is true, the just open animation clip will be played. Okay, and close that off with semicolon. So we are setting the parameter. Firstly, we are going to animator, and we are setting that bool parameter, which is open. You have to type the same name as you did an animator, and we are setting it true. And if it's true, it will play the chest open animation clip. And we're gonna copy this line of code, and we're gonna paste it in the on trigger exit. Okay, instead of printing out message, what we're gonna do, we're gonna set its parameter to false. Okay, whenever the player trigger out from that circle, we're gonna set this as is parameter. Okay, is parameter to false. If it false, as you know, it will play the chest close animation clip. Okay, we have chosen that condition, as you know. So control S on your keyboard to save this and head again to Unity. Okay, so we are playing. Firstly, we grabbing the reference of the animator. By that animator, we're just setting that is open parameter to true or false, depending upon if the player is triggering with the collider or not of this chest. Okay, circle collider. So just wait for to compile, you will able to see. So if we select the animator tab and hit play in the top, you will able to see. Okay, so if I select the animator, okay, animator, as you can see, I don't know, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna open the animator tab once again. So as you can see, by default, sorry, by default, chest close animation is playing. As you can see, we have set the parameter. So if we hit play in the top, so whenever we trigger with this collider, okay, of the chest, what we're doing, we just setting is open parameter to true, and as you know, if it's true, it will play the chest open animation clip. Okay, so if we trigger with this, as you can see, chest open animation clip is playing. But when we trigger out from the chest circle, okay, as you can see, chest close animation is playing. Okay, so I hope you get the basics idea of it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, so lastly, thanks for watching this video.